back to Just Energy Radio with Dr. Rita Louise.
Hello and welcome back to Just Energy Radio. We are here talking with Derrel Sims about his book, Alien Hunter, The Evidence in Light. So, Derrel, I get the impression that you're not a big fan of the aliens. At
you
all.
Must be a psychic.
I am! Oh, my God! So why do you think they're here? I mean, there are those people that, you know, the Palladians. I'm going to tell you a story. So a number of years ago, there were two books that came out. There was one that was The Palladian Agenda, which I thought was a good book, you know, very uplifting, very force chakra loving book. Talks about the Anunnaki. And then there was another book that was called We're Becoming Galactic Humans that said that the Syrians were coming and there was going to be 3 days of darkness, and I don't know. I could not finish reading the book because I started having nightmares. I don't have nightmares. I was having nightmares about this book. And then one day I was getting ready to go do something and the stereo cut off, or in the light, you know, we lost power, and I freaked out because I thought the Syrians were there. You know, and so there are some people, I guess where I'm going is there are some people that think that they are going to be the harbingers of peace, and then there are other people that think that they have their own agenda and they're not necessarily sharing that with us. Where do you fall into that part?
Well, again, the important thing about what I do is that it isn't per se just an opinion that I have. In other words, somebody questions me. One of the things that I tell them, I said, what you have to understand is that I have many hats. I said the point of my statement about having many hats is that in these hats that I wear, they depict all kinds of things that I do. One of them is the UFO hat. It's a hat that basically that one can, that any UFO guy would have, so to speak, whether you just study the UFO phenomena, you're interested for whatever reason. The second hat that I wear is totally different than that, and it ignores the other hat, and that's the medical and the scientific hat. We've done 23 surgeries thus far on abductees looking for physical evidence on alleged alien implants, something I discovered in 1960 because I got an implant when I was age 12 years old in 1960, and I was conscious of the event. So that's the medical and scientific hat. Now, I push that heavily. The third hat I have, which is different than the other two, which gives me another point of view that's different than the other two, is the cop PI hat. And this one is no nonsense. It doesn't believe your story when you start telling it, and when that hat gets on, it's going to grill you to no end. The next hat that I have, which is different than that hat, is the profiler hat. A profiler is a really remarkable skill that when cops can't figure out, like a serial killer, where they can't catch the guy's too smart, he's too whatever, they just can't catch him, they call a profiler. The profiler, when he comes in there and starts looking at the cuts, burns, bruises, scars, or whatever of these victims, even like abductees, he can look at those cuts, burns, scars, and take that story, and he'll tell you the inside of the mind of the individual that's doing this stuff. Amazing ability. Then another hat that I wear is an intelligence hat, and by that I mean it's like the discovering the stuff about cattle mutilations. When you put that hat on, the intelligence hat looks at the whole picture of why would somebody be doing this? What is the plan? What is the idea behind this? And the sixth hat that I wear, and there's two others, the sixth hat is the spirituality hat, which is something that looks at all evidence from a spiritual level. The last hat, the one number 7, is the alien hunter hat, and I call it the nexus hat. And what that means is I hunt them that hunted me and hunted my son, and I won't rest until I find that evidence in them. So the bottom line is, for me, I have 7 hats that I use to answer that question. Not one, such as an opinion from a ufologist Well, they must be because I think. That doesn't mean anything to me. What is it that you have that convinces me that they're from outer space or in the inner Earth or whatever, or here to save the planet, fix the ozone hole or whatever? The thing I've found out most about this phenomena is it's not just a medical problem. Though we study aspects of this, and though we do study the medical aspects, surgeries, and do all these different things, it's not just a medical problem. The medical hat will not answer all my questions. It won't. It's not just a science problem. And yes, we have scientists in academia from universities that help us with this stuff. One of them is a Nobel laureate. It doesn't make any difference. Science is not going to give us the answers to everything we need because it's not a science problem. It's not just a police problem. Although these people are being kidnapped and taken against their will and so on, it's not just a police problem. It's not just a psychological problem. It's not just a spiritual problem. It's bigger than all these things, and it's going to take all these things to give an answer. One of the things that I have discovered, and I love to use NASA footage when I illustrate my points, is I tell people that these entities are obviously manufactured, cloned, made, hatched, formed, or developed by someone else that has nothing to do with the quote-unquote alien. I said, the alien that you're looking at isn't even the alien. It's a byproduct of a program that's being used. The one that you need to be looking at is whoever made them and whoever sent them here. I said, if you will look at NASA footage, and I have this NASA footage, and I don't mind showing it to people, I said, you will see craft, some of them thousands of miles long, in one of them I show in my film footage from NASA is at Jupiter. Another one we show where a craft is several hundred miles long was in the mass abduction December 8, 1992. And that's a story in itself, literally an entire book and is the basis of a movie. But the point is that these entities are flying around out there in these huge craft without a planet. It's easier to think for me to think of that several thousand-mile craft floating out there near Saturn as a manufacturing plant, a cosmic Toyota plant, if you will, for whatever it is that Dr. Moreau is doing out there. And it isn't saving the ozone hole and the planet and anything else. They're not interested in any of that, and they could care less. These are just ruses they give people to make them compliant and obedient.
So what do you think they want?
Well, a lot of what they want is, it isn't, they're not trying to take over the planet. They're not trying to boil us and eat us. It isn't a cookbook, so to speak. It isn't any of those things. What they're interested in, and it goes back to an issue that people can barely grasp. And I love these answers from people. They say, well, they must be here for this reason. I said, well, how do you know that? Well, because they have flying saucers. And I said, wait a minute. Many of these guys don't have opposing thumbs. How do you suppose they made a craft without an opposing thumb? Oh, I said, you're not making any sense. But they got here with a craft. I said, now, wait a minute. You're not making any sense. Just because I walk into your house and you flip a light switch and a light comes on doesn't mean that I think you made that light bulb or that you even know anything about electricity, and I certainly don't think you made the power plant. Just because you can flip a switch that somebody else made or manufactured doesn't make you a genius. I'm sorry. None of that works. So you're not making any sense. You're just being emotional about something you don't have any information about. And when you look at all the evidence, it points to some pretty serious and some pretty bizarre stuff. Like they're not here for our benefit. And one of the illustrations I told, they said, well, but they're here. I said, listen to me. You are unique. There's never been anything like you made. There probably never will be. But as far as I know, my point is this. Let's think they're from another planet or wherever you think, another dimension or whatever. I said, somebody's come a long, long way to get whatever it is you have. Because they don't have it, whatever it is. And they have done this for at least 6,000